The problem with Democrats right now is they're a leaderless party. They don't have a figurehead at the top of the ticket. It's sort of up in there who really is calling the shots. The person at the head of the DNC is doing a lot, but people don't really know about him in just normal America. So then here comes Cory Booker, and he is relatively known in the sense that he's a senator and he ran for president before, and he took on the physical feat of staying on his feet for 25 hours straight in the Senate. I don't think it's technically considered a filibuster because he wasn't filibustering a particular piece of legislation.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with political editor Marisa Schultz. And Marisa, this past week, Democrats finally had a bit of luck, a bit of some good news after months of bad. And one bright spot for them was a victory in the Wisconsin State Supreme Court race. How much can be read into the results from that race?
So yes, the Wisconsin Supreme Court race was extremely big in the sense that it was the first big test since Trump took office, and it became in a lot of ways a proxy for Trump and for Elon Musk, or at least that's what Democrats had really wanted it to be. Tons and tons of money was pumped into there. It was the most expensive judicial race ever. And Elon Musk campaigned there, and Trump made it known that he really wanted this conservative candidate to win. So when the liberal candidate won, and pretty decisively, Democrats felt finally there's some wind in their sails after all of this. And it allowed Republicans to sort of rethink what role Musk may have going forward in elections. He has been such a big player in terms of financially funding candidates and also doing unique things such as lotteries to get voters to be interested in the election, especially in an off year. So it's one early test, but I think it has kind of changed the conversation quite a bit in Washington.
Senator Cory Booker also made headlines, breaking the record for, I believe, the longest filibuster on the Senate floor this week. Not super clear what the specific legislative purpose of the filibuster was, but broadly speaking, do you think he succeeded in sort of putting his name in contention for being one of the leaders to emerge out of this chaos in the Democratic Party?
Right. I think the problem with Democrats right now is they're a leaderless party. They don't have a figurehead at the top of the ticket. It's sort of up in there who really is calling the shots. The person at the head of the DNC is doing a lot, but people don't really know about him in just normal America. So then here comes Cory Booker, and he is relatively known in the sense that he's a senator and he ran for president before, and he took on the physical feat of staying on his feet for 25 hours straight in the Senate. I don't think it's technically considered a filibuster because he wasn't filibustering a particular piece of legislation.
See? Great factoid.
It was just a normal speech, but he beat Strom Thurmond's record, and he had some help from Democrats who would ask him questions on the floor. I think it did two things. One is it kind of energized Democrats a bit. I mean, he broke a record, he made history, he drew attention to the party, raised a lot of money. And younger Democrats were saying, like, this is kind of what we need. We need to show, like, someone is doing something, even though it doesn't have any necessarily practical effect in stopping something in Washington. But he had the effect of sort of showing Democrats were willing to, like, fight or do something a little bit drastic to motivate the base.
And a sort of totally different approach, but also serving to seek that need of pushing back against Trump in Washington. We've seen this week from Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia, who successfully amassed some Republicans to move ahead with a bill that pushes back on Trump's tariffs against Canada. Do you think that is potentially an approach that other Democrats might try to replicate from the practical side, is building sort of bipartisan coalitions for specific policy disagreements with Trump?
Yeah, I saw that the Tim Kaine resolution that passed the Senate this past week was interesting in two ways. One is it was the first sort of pushback formally to Trump's agenda since he took power and when Republicans took control of Congress. And also it had a very specific topic of tariffs that does have some heartburn among Republicans. What Trump is trying to do is upend a lot of traditional conservative Republican policies on the trade front, and here Tim Kaine found 4 Republicans to side with him, 2 from Kentucky, McConnell and Rand Paul, and also Murkowski and Susan Collins from Maine, and it was enough to sort of pass this resolution. That said, it's not going anywhere in the House. Trump wouldn't sign this into law, but it had the effect of saying there is some small kernel of quote unquote resistance happening here, and we can show that in this resolution.
Well, Marisa, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more reporting from Marisa and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.